This is going to be a historic show. I can feel it in my bones, baby. It's time to talk all things New York Jets with our resident NFL insider, Boy Green Daily. Starts now.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
Boy Green, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Let's go!
Dewey Mama.
Put your seatbelts on. Get ready for the ride. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Paul Heston Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast. We're here on a Sunday. The Jets have an off day today, but we're not off, baby, because we're on every gosh darn day at 7:30 in the morning. If you're watching on the YouTube, make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. Also, shout out to our audio-only listeners of the show and the people on the Facebook and Twitter pages, respectively. Let's bring in our resident NFL insider, baby. In the YouTube description down below is a direct link to his Substack. He is our NFL insider extraordinaire, Matt gosh darn Lombardo. What's up, Matt?
Oh, happy training camp. We talked on the eve of training camp opening last Sunday morning, and here we are a week into practices and on the eve of things really ratcheting up for real with the pads going on tomorrow.
Yeah, Pat's going on tomorrow. You mentioned it. Coming up on Thursdays, the Hall of Fame games. I mean, we are off to the races, baby, and I can see the fans are getting in on all the fun. MFC, mother effing chew with a gifted membership. All right, let's see. Who did that membership go to? MFC. We appreciate you. That went to Bradley. Bradley, welcome to the Boy Green Coffee Club. Appreciate you very much. That's another membership towards our raffle coming up at the end of the month, which should be terrific. There's a lot to get into here, Matt, but I do want to start off here, and we're talking off air before the show, and this just feels like a good place to do it. Justin Fields. Good Lord. I mean, Jet fans have been so hurt, and they talk to their therapist every week about every injury or crazy situation that's happened to every Jet starting quarterback over the last 26 or 27 some odd years. And we thought Justin Fields was just another chapter in that story. And he goes down at practice earlier this week in training camp. He gets carted off the field, goes to the locker room, and the reports are just like, Justin Fields goes down. Doesn't look good. Oh boy, the cart's coming out. And fans are at home, right? We're not watching this or the few, because I don't even think that was the first one from the fans yet. So it's just reporters. So we're all like, whatever they're saying is how we're taking the story. So I'm curious, Matt, to get a different perspective. We've heard from fans who have been complaining about how reporters apparently portrayed this story to the fans because people were making jokes that Justin Fields died on the field. And all of a sudden, he came back to life. He has risen the next day at training camp, running onto the field, signing autographs for fans. So, Matt, give us that perspective. What goes through your mind when a player goes down on the field in a practice that you're covering, and how you in your brain very quickly go, okay, I need to report this information to the fans or to your own work as quickly as possible?
Yeah, Paul, I really empathize with the reporters in this case, and I kind of understand where the fans are coming from, especially given how this particular injury wound up turning out. But I've been there. I've been in that spot. I've been on sidelines where you see a guy go down, and teams are very quickly, if a guy's hurt, they might move him into an area where like players are kind of huddled around so they don't see him getting worked on with his ankle or his knee or his toe in Justin Fields' case. And next thing you know, you see the cart coming out and the guy hops on the cart into the locker room he goes, and you can only in that very moment report out what you're seeing. And it is noteworthy when a player is carted to the locker room, and a lot of times teams will do that because why make a guy with a lower
Of
body
course.
injury hobble 180 yards into the
Right.
locker room, right, when you have the cart? Smart teams will just cart them back there.
Convenience. Yeah, right.
Right, and safety and all those sort of things. But it's tough to really blame the reporters in this case because it's the starting quarterback, it's the cart coming out, it's early in training camp. But when you're there on the field, one of your first instincts is, okay, Justin Fields is injured. Let me tweet that out or post that out to Threads or whatever social media platform you're
Sure.
using. Then you're going to get the pressure from your editor to write up the quick 300-word story so that it goes out there and you get the page views and you get the clicks and those sort of things. So you might walk back into the building, write up a brief story about the injury and how it happened. But on the walk back, you're texting people, right? You're texting people within the organization, to figure out what's going on with that injury. You might text some contacts that you have that are close to the player, doing anything you can to get any sort of nugget of information. And with the understanding that both of those sides are going to be very protective of that info. If it's something serious, maybe you'll get a, hey, we don't know yet, or there's going to be an MRI tomorrow. And that's even a little bit of news there. But
Sure.
it's hard to blame the reporter in this case because it wound up just being a dislocated toe. The Jets might not have known the severity of that at the time, right? They might not have found that out until after Aaron Glenn's press conference, until maybe even, the next morning before practice after the swelling goes down or whatever the case may be. So while I empathize with the fans who are thinking, why is this such a big deal? In the moment, that's the biggest story of that practice, especially before the pads
Of
go on
course.
and you're just watching 7-on-7s or routes on air or one-on-ones. That injury is the biggest story, so of course it's going to be treated that way.
Fair enough. It's again great to get that perspective. We have our NFL insider extraordinaire, Matt Lombardo, here on the program, baby, and we are enjoying everything that he brings to the table, which is a lot of fun. And again, he's going to continue to join us every Sunday, which will be game day, obviously, the majority of the time for the New York Jets. And you can support his work right here, baby, between the hash marks. Again, there's a direct link in the YouTube description down below to his Substack, so you get a taste of the Matt Lombardo experience every Sunday here on the show, but get the full gosh darn entree, the dessert, the appetizer, the full meal. Yeah, he'll take care of you between the hash marks, baby, right in the YouTube description again down below. Let me ask you this, Matt. Who is a player that for the New York Jets? Let's start here. All right. We start with Justin Fields, big name, starting quarterback. Boom, 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 boom. Let's reverse it. Let's go all the way to wherever you perceive this question I'm about to ask to be. Who's a player that people are not talking about with the New York Jets that deserves a spotlight and say, hey, I'm just saying, I'm NFL insider Matt Lombardo. Look at this guy. Who is that guy on the Jets roster?
Yeah, I'll give you a name, Paul. It's 2024 third-round pick Isaiah Davis, young 23-year-old running back. He played in 17 games a year ago, rushed for 174 yards. Talking to people around that building, they view him as one of those quote-unquote do-it-all kind of players, and they're really high on him coming into the 2025 season. I think there's a very real scenario where we talk about the top of the depth chart and the position battle for that starting running back job between Braylon Allen and Breece Hall, and that's going to garner the headlines and really dictate a lot of what that offense is going to develop into. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if coming out of training camp in the preseason, Isaiah Davis is running back 3 on the roster, works his way into some change of pace type of carries during the regular season, might even wind up being one of the kick returners. But I could see them carving out a package of plays where he's a pass catcher out of the backfield. They like him a lot, and I think that this summer, these training camp practices coming up and the 3 preseason games, they're going to dictate where he is on this roster and what his role winds up being going into the year.
Yeah, he's an interesting guy because obviously you have Breece Hall, and you mentioned it. He's the name guy that everyone talks about. You have Braylon Allen, who was taking that same class as Isaiah Davis. Braylon Allen was a 4th rounder out of Wisconsin. And then, right, you go to the Jackrabbit in the friggin' 6th round, late in the draft. The Jets jump on this guy, and he's totally forgotten about it. He wasn't even the first running back taken in that class by his own team. So, I think a lot of Jet, it's sort of like in the underground, right? No one's really talking about it outside of Matt Lombardo, who just talked about it now. But in the streets, are like, hey, this Isaiah Davis guy, could he be something? Could he be something? But we're too afraid to talk about it because there's Breece Hall and Braylon Allen, these big names there. Isaiah Davis, I like the cut of that jib, Matt Lombardo. I like the cut of that jib.
Yeah, the Jets really like Isaiah Davis. They think he could be a be-it-all type of player, and these are the days during training camp where some of those guys start to emerge. Bust out a big run or two, or takes a swing pass from Justin Fields out of the backfield for a big gain, starts to gain some momentum, starts to gain some notoriety. But behind the scenes, it sounds like the Jets are really high on him going into the year.
And let me just correct myself. Sorry, Isaiah Davis, a fifth-round draft choice in 2024. He's just taken a round after Braylon Allen, the 173rd overall
We
pick.
both
Just
got our
wanted to
wires crossed there. Both got our
yeah,
wires
I don't
crossed.
know.
It happens sometimes, you know.
We're early in training camp, right? When I throw an interception, right? All the fans are like, oh, you threw an interception. I'm like, hey, that's what training camp's all about, baby. Okay, I wanted to test where this. Could I get my throw there? I could not. Okay, I want to tap that pass again. It's just that easy. You got to learn from your mistakes. That's key, Matt Lombardo. That's key. Hey, another thing that's key is depth chart battles coming up here in training camp, Matt Lombardo. And there's a few for the Jets, and they're in interesting places. So what I would like you to do, Matt, is I'm going to put you on the spot here. Okay, I'm going to give you a couple of these training camp position battles that are happening for the New York Jets. I want you to predict. You tell me who. Let's crown them. Be Dennis Green. If you want to crown them, then crown their ass. I want you to crown them here of who you believe is going to win. We'll start off with the most interesting, perhaps, is the wide receiver 2 battle. Everyone knows that Garrett Wilson guy. Yep, I'm quite familiar. But wide receiver 2, who the hell is that going to be? There's a lot of names on this roster. Some young names have been turning heads at camp. Who is the guy? If you had to predict it right now, we're here on Sunday, July 27th. Who is winning that wide receiver 2 battle for the Jets?
Paul, you mentioned a lot of names and a lot of names on the roster. There are a lot of names off this roster as well. But if we're strictly going with wide receivers who are currently in Florham Park, getting ready for their first padded practice on Monday, Josh Reynolds is probably the guy. I think that Josh Reynolds is the guy the Jets would prefer to see win this job. And they're banking on him returning to his level of production that he saw in Detroit with Jared Goff. He was that really solid number 2, number 3 wide receiver in a loaded offense with a lot of firepower. But I'm not convinced that the Jets' number 2 wide receiver is currently on this roster. And I think there are 2 or 3 names to keep an eye on going into the next couple of weeks, going into maybe even roster cuts, going into week 1. We talked about Keenan Allen a little bit last week, a veteran presence in a receiver group that really needs one outside of Allen Lazard. But 2 names that I think are really fascinating. One is Romeo Doubs in Green Bay. And you look at what the Packers did, they've created a little bit of a logjam there, drafting Matthew Golden in the first round. He's only the second first-round wide receiver they've taken this century. They round back, they take Savion Williams in the third round. They really loaded up on wide receivers there in Green Bay. You still have Dontavian Wicks, you still have Jaden Reed. Somebody's going to be the odd man out. And the Jets being so thin at receiver, I could see them making a push to trade for a guy like Doubs. And the other one is Darius Slayton. Plays for the New York Giants. They're going to get a front row seat at Darius Slayton during those joint practices. The Giants are, of course, all in on Malik Neighbors as that deep threat to benefit the most from Russell Wilson's presence. But they still have Wan'Dale Robinson, young player they're really high on. Jalen Hyatt, who they drafted a couple of years ago, kind of inconsistent first season, but he's been the star of spring practices and OTAs and mini camp. If he looks like he's going to be that complementary deep threat to Malik Neighbors, all of a sudden, somebody like Darius Slayton might become expendable and might be someone that the Jets could pounce on if the Giants look to move him later this summer.
All right, interesting. Absolutely fascinating. We'll do some more. We'll allow you to be Will Smith and Hitch. Do some more mixing and matching, perhaps a little bit later in the program. So I like that. Wide receiver 2, an important position battle from the New York Jets. What about defensive tackle 2? Same sort of conversation. One big name in the room. That's Quinnen Williams in this particular case. A lot of names on the roster there, both young and old. Older, rather, not too old, because Aaron Glenn doesn't like that sort of thing, apparently, but, within a certain age range. Who is going to be lining up next to Quinnen Williams week 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers? It is whom, Matt Lombardo?
Yeah, who's going to line up next to him is a little different than where my mind went here. I think it's going to be Derek Nottie, who's going to be that starter alongside of him. I think that he's the veteran presence in there, has a lot of big game experience. But if we just want to talk about guys who are going to push for roles and maybe become the top backup to Quinnen Williams, that's a spot that I think they want Leonard Taylor to win. He fits that 23, 24-year-old youth movement, had really limited playing time a year ago. I know they signed Jay Tufele from the Cincinnati Bengals as that veteran addition, But I think that Taylor's one of those guys, limited playing time, but according to Pro Football Focus, he was the 34th ranked interior pass rusher in the NFL. So if it's about generating pressure on the quarterback, if Taylor ratchets it up this summer, he's another sleeper, another name to watch who could steal the job. But I think that you add a guy like Derek Nottie for the big game experience, for the veteran leadership, for the track record. I think that week one, when they roll the ball out there, it's Quinnen Williams and Nottie lining up one alongside the other.
I like the cut of your jib, Matt Lombardo. That makes a lot of sense. Former three-time Super Bowl champion, bringing that championship pedigree to the gosh darn New York Jets. Let me give you one more. And obviously, my boy from Syracuse, Andre Cisco, he's starting at one of the safety spots, obviously. But what about the other one? There's some Tony Adams fans in the audience. There's some Malachi Moore fans. He's the rookie coming out of Alabama. There's other names, Jalen Simpson, Jarius Monroe, all kinds of, it's a mosh-bash of names out there, Matt Lombardo. Which one tickles your fancy? Starting safety opposite of Andre Cisco will be who?
Yeah, I think earlier this spring I mentioned Tony Adams as the sleeper to watch, as the breakout player to watch for this Jets defense. But I got to say, I think that this is trending towards Malachi Moore winning that job. He's a
Wow.
draft pick. They invested a lot in him this spring. I thought he was one of the biggest sleepers at the safety position going to the New York Jets. They're really high on him, and I think that he was a big steal in the fourth round. Heavy hitter, really good in coverage. I could see them, if they're looking for their young players to get experience this year to kind of set the tone and lay the foundation of the Aaron Glenn era in New York. I think Malachi Moore is a guy that's going to throw his weight around and make it difficult for them not to play him to get that experience going into year two and beyond.
All right, let's go back to Justin Fields for a second. So we thought it was really bad, then it wasn't, and it seems like he's making progressions very quickly. So he got hurt. He showed up to practice the next day, but didn't practice or participate in indies or team drills. And then yesterday, there was a progression. He participated in indies. He participated in 7-on-7s. The only thing he didn't was the full 11-on-11s. That he did not. The Jets have a day off today, and he could be back tomorrow. But really, the thing that was highlighted with Justin Fields getting hurt is, okay, who are the rest of the quarterbacks in the room? Okay, you got Tyrod Taylor, but then you have two really young guys on the roster. Adrian Martinez, a former UFL MVP, salute there, which is nice at a different level. And then you have Brady Cook, who's an undrafted free agent out of Missouri. A lot of people said, oh boy, should the Jets, sure, okay, they dodge a bullet here with Justin Fields, but what if the next time they don't dodge that bullet? Do you believe the Jets should make a quarterback a move here if a move is to be available to be made? I don't know if there's any names out there or possible draft compensation that would make sense for any of those names to really just, insulate the room with a name that you feel more confident in, perhaps than some of the youngsters on this roster.
Yeah, I think they're really thin here, dangerously thin at quarterback. And I go back to the conversation I had with you, one of the first shows that we did together. I spoke to an NFL executive who told me that that would be one of the first moves he would look to make is upgrading a backup quarterback if he were the general manager of the Jets at this moment in time. This it might be dodging a bullet. They might not the next one, right? And I think that when you look at quarterback and how important it is, they just committed top dollar to Garrett Wilson. You're trying to set the tone in the new era of Aaron Glenn's Jets. A couple names that I think make a lot of sense for them. One, I know Tyrod Taylor's on the roster and he'd be a competent starter. I do wonder if the Jets picked up the phone and called Joe Shane of the Giants and offered a fifth round pick for Jameis Winston if they'd make that deal. And I think that, you look at Jackson Dart, the momentum seems to be building through a couple strong training camp practices. I know it's early and a strong spring, but the momentum's building that he might actually play his way into this being a conversation and a competition with Russell Wilson this summer for the week one job. And if Jackson Dart's your starting quarterback, all of a sudden, Jameis Winston being on the roster is a little bit redundant because you have the veteran backup in Russell Wilson. So I think Jameis Winston is a guy that could step in, win some games, make it a lot of fun to watch Jets football. He'd be competent. That's one name to watch. And in Cleveland, they've created their own little quarterback logjam by taking, Dylan Gabriel and Shador Sanders in the draft. They have Joe Flacco. Talked to a couple people inside the league that they expect Kenny Pickett to be on the move, and Kenny Pickett doesn't really move the needle. I know there were a lot, far too many interceptions in Pittsburgh, which led to him getting traded to the Eagles last year. But if you're the Jets and you're looking at a quarterback room that behind Tyrod Taylor doesn't have a lot of NFL experience, and you can pick up maybe for a song a quarterback like Kenny Pickett with first round pedigree, it might be worth pursuing because every head coach, every offensive coordinator always has it in his mind. Hey, I can get the best out of this guy. I can turn this former first rounder into the type of player we expected him to be. It might be a gamble the Jets might think about making if this Justin Fields thing is worse than it might look with a dislocated toe, or even just as an insurance policy at a really inexperienced quarterback room.
So let's do this. Let's play some more of this matchmaker here. Again, here's the scene. The movie's Hitch. Matt Lombardo, you're Will Smith. And now you're trying to connect a tantalizing, sexy free agent to a possible landing spot. And people will get that full flavor in fourth down free agent speed dating. So I don't want you to reveal the whole apple cart here, but perhaps the one you feel most confident in of all the free agents that are out there in the universe. If you could connect them with a team, if you could be, that wingman of sorts, who would you be doing it for? Who's the name that stands out? Like I said, there's a lot of names that people could check out tomorrow morning in this column, but give us one you feel really good about.
Yeah, I think it's Matthew Judon going to the Green Bay Packers. I think the Packers,
Mm.
they're looking to build momentum on a really solid year in defensive coordinator Jeff Hafley's first season. They made a big splash last offseason signing Xavier McKinney. He turned into an all-pro for the first time in his career. But the Packers are banking on like hope and optimism that Lucas Van Ness finally looks like a first-round pick, which he hasn't through most of his career. Rashawn Gary has been wildly inconsistent. And when you start to look at what they're up against in that division with two really prolific and explosive receivers in Minnesota, the Bears are going to be better with Caleb Williams with a lot of new weapons around him. It seems like they need to make a counterpunch along the front seven. I think Judon makes a lot of sense going to the Green Bay Packers. I think edge rusher is going to be a spot that the Packers could look to upgrade here in the next couple of weeks.
Okay, I like that. Judon haunted the Jets for many years on the New England Patriots, so throw him to the NFC and continue to stay in the NFC with him being on the Falcons last year. Feel free to enjoy it. No, thank you on Matthew Judon. That would be great. All right, give me something else, Matt. There's a lot of stuff here in your four downs column that intrigues me, but give our fans a tease of what they can get overall, the entire thought process of this column on a week-to-week basis, and specifically something you're really excited about for people to read tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm really excited tomorrow. I had a really in-depth conversation with all-pro safety, former Buffalo Bill, former Miami Dolphin, Jordan Poyer. Broke a little bit of news in the column, so people can be on the lookout for that. But he took me on this really fascinating journey about what he's planning and already building for life after football, and how he's, looking to help other people become the best versions of themselves following a similar journey that he's taken over the last several years. It's a really interesting story. Really proud to be able to tell it. I think folks will really dig it. And each Monday, Four Downs is kind of that all-encompassing column. Think what Peter King used to write in Monday Morning Quarterback and Football Morning in America. We take the 4 or 5 biggest storylines across the league during Sunday's games, and I'll frantically reach out to executives and scouts to contextualize big moments or what happened in big games, or get a former player's perspective, Jake Reed from the Minnesota Vikings on why Justin Jefferson is so special and so uncoverable. Things like that happen in the fray of an NFL Sunday, and I'll lead the column with that each week. But really proud of Four Downs and enjoy it as kind of the tentpole piece of coverage each week at Between the Hash Marks. But you also get the podcast each Tuesday with Mike Tanier and I. Every Friday, there's the mailbag where people pose questions to me, and then I'll ask NFL coaches, executives, and scouts for their thoughts to kind of get that peek behind the curtain of what the people making the decisions think about the biggest storylines in the league. So I'm really excited about what we're building here, thrilled with the response to the project, and I really appreciate you having me on each week to not only talk Jets and NFL, but promote what we're building over Between the Hash Marks.
Of course, Matt. Let's finish off here. I see you're wearing a Super Bowl polo. Is that Super Bowl 3? Is that the Jets Super Bowl? What's going on there? What Super Bowl is this?
Yeah, this one was Super Bowl 52. It was the Eagles beating the New England Patriots in Minnesota. I will turn the camera around momentarily. You might be able to see the command center here on
Oh,
NFL
wow.
Sunday, where you got the 3 TVs for the games, and each Super Bowl that I cover, I buy a pennant from that Super Bowl is kind of
That's
my,
awesome.
I won't say my Stanley Cup or my green jacket, but my, you know, souvenir of sorts from covering each of the Super Bowls that I've covered. And my father is a diehard Eagles fan. He actually flew out for Thursday through Sunday to crash with me and go to the game. And he's like, Matt, get yourself a polo. So we got the
Cool.
polo from dear old dad from that Super Bowl. Super
I
Bowl
am
two for
incredibly.
me, Super Bowl one for him.
What was the first Super Bowl for you?
It was the 28-3 comeback,
Oh, oh,
Patriots
wow.
Falcons in Houston the year before.
What a Super Bowl to go to see Patriots losing and Patriots winning Super Bowls. I guess you got the full balanced diet there. That's very nice. I will tell you, I'm incredibly jealous of your football setup there for game days of having the
Well, come on over
triple
some
header.
Sunday. Come over
Yeah.
some Sunday. Some Jets Sunday. We'll do the pod from the
Oh,
office.
nice.
We'll get
There
some
you go.
coffee, and I'll allocate one of the TVs to the Jets. We'll get Red Zone on one. We'll get whatever marquee game I'm trying to zoom in on that time slot on the other. And we'll get the Jets on the third TV. We'll put you on the
Hey,
couch. It'll be a good time.
I appreciate that. Every time I go to a bar, that's what I beg. I just allocate one TV, please, for the New York Jets. So I'm glad the hospitality is there at the Lombardo household and the stronghold. Beautiful, Matt. It's great to learn, and I think this is good for the fans too to learn more about you. Personally, also professionally, and then having a lot of fun here talking about it because I think that's also gonna get people from Boy Green Daily and everywhere else to listen and watch a show, go, wow, I like this Matt Lombardo guy. And that will even, I think, draw even more people to your content. So I love it. Let's keep peeling back the many layers of Matt Lombardo here on the program. Matt, thanks for taking the time, brother.
I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for having me on. And this is the highlight of my week each Sunday. Starting off the week with Boy Green.
Oh, I appreciate it. There he is, our NFL insider, Matt Lombardo, again, between the hash marks, baby, here on the program, our NFL insider extraordinaire. Again, a direct link in the YouTube description to that Substack is below. Phenomenal. All right, everybody. And thank you for all the thank yous to Matt. That's awesome. Again, Matt joins us every Sunday. So thank you guys for the continued pouring of comments. Excuse me, coming up here on the program. That is great. Yeah, I'm getting a lot of invites now, so this is terrific. Indy Jets says, BG, come to Charlotte. Dilworth Grill is every TV on the Jets. Okay, all right. You guys keep inviting me to your house. All right. Sounds like I'm covered for a few football Sundays here. And it's obviously great having Matt on the show right now, but it's going to be even better, to have him on the show during these game days. I think that's going to be absolutely terrific. So I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. And it should be a good old time. So that is terrific. All righty, everybody. Let me answer a few more questions or comments here on the program as we're rocking and rolling here on the show. Again, we have nearly 200 people in the room. Like the video, hit subscribe. Shout out to the people that watch after the fact here on the program as well. Thank you very much. And I will tell you, everybody, I'll tell you right now, we've got a big surprise for you here on the show. A very big surprise. And I hope you guys enjoy it. One Coffee Club member doesn't know what the surprise is, but he knew a surprise was coming. So we have a surprise coming up here in just a little bit. So without further ado, let's do this. We'll play a HEP song. And no, I'm not going to open up the phone lines just yet. You'll understand. More coming up here on Boy Green Daily.
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Talking Jets football, man. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. New York Jets Football Club. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. J-E-T-S, Jets. Let's go.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm Paul Esden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily as we continue here on the show. I said we'd have a surprise on the show, and oh my goodness, this may be one of the greatest surprises of all time. Let's bring her in. Another special guest joining us on the show. It is the amazing, the wonderful, the immortal, Judy Battista, baby, here on the show of the NFL Network and so much more. Judy, good morning. Thanks for hopping on.
Good morning. Good to be here. I don't think I can live up to that billing, but I'm going to give it a try.
Hey, there you go. And Judy, you were, of course, at Jets training camp yesterday. Back together weekend is terrific. You're there with your buddy, Brian Baldinger, and all the Jets. And Judy, I just have to say off the top, it's so cool. It was the energy felt palpable to me watching from home, seeing you and Aaron Glenn sitting next to each other, and just like Aaron looking at you at the end of the interview and saying, together again, we're doing this all over. Like, it was really cool.
Well, I was lucky enough to cover him as a player at the Jets. And so first of all, I would have been thrilled for him to get a head coaching job anywhere, but that it's with the Jets and that it obviously means so much to him that the Jets gave him the opportunity to be a head coach for the first time is just really great. And I'm so excited for him. And we don't really root for teams, but you root for people you like, and you root for good stories. And he would definitely be a good story, but he's also a person I like. So I'm rooting hard for Aaron Glenn.
Yeah, and that to me was one of the most moving, things of the entire piece, or the entire interview that you did, was Aaron Glenn had said earlier in training camp about knowing the pain of Jet fans, and boy, no one knows more the pain of Jet fans and players that have played for the team, Judy. And I love that you asked that question, because Aaron gave this very passionate answer that I think Jet fans resonate with, because he knows what we've been through. We've both gone to the same therapist. You're like, what, AG? You're us here together? So, what did you take away from that? That it sounds like this is not just just someone getting their first NFL head coaching opportunity. It feels incredibly personal, Aaron Glenn, to turn this around and bring back to the glory days that he experienced, of course, with that AFC Championship team in the late 90s.
Well, when he was hired, he said he wanted to be the New York Jets coach. Obviously, he wanted to be a head coach in the NFL, but he wanted the Jets. And first of all, I think that meant a lot to Jets leadership, to the ownership. It obviously means a lot to Jets fans, but it tells you how much it means to him, right? This is the team that drafted him, that gave him his entry into the NFL as a player. When he was talking about the pain of Jets fans early and, right before training camp started, the thing that stuck out to me is he said that not only did he play there, but he had followed the team. He had kept up with the team all along, right? So the rest of his playing career and then his path up the coaching ladder all these years, he kept up with what was going on with the Jets. And so he knows it has been a roller coaster, some high moments, certainly, but some lows. And he knows how tough it's been. And he, when I asked him about it, he wants the players to feel what he felt when he was with the Jets. As he said, for a few years there with Parcells, they were the guys. They ran the town. He wants the players to get that feeling. He wants the people in the building to get that feeling. He certainly wants the fans to get that feeling back. He even wants the media to feel what it's like to, when the Jets are on top of the world. So it's definitely personal for him. It's not just a job. He wants to be the guy that turns this around.
And what about the Justin Fields stuff, which was interesting? It's been an interesting tete-a-tete between Aaron Glenn, the media, the Justin Fields thing, because you said exactly what we were thinking during your interview with Aaron. Wow, that was a nice little surprise. Justin ran out on the field. None of us knew that was going to happen. It's wasn't a surprise. They're like, it was to us. So, what was your what is your perspective overall on Aaron Glenn and the media's relationship? Because it's been very interesting.
I actually think he's been really good with the media. Pardon me, one of my AirPods just fell out.
No, that's okay.
I think it's actually been really good with the media. And one of the things when he sort of admonished the media for getting ahead of itself when they saw Justin Fields going off on the cart and we didn't know the diagnosis yet, which is sort of this. You want to say to him, this is life in the social media age. Nothing waits.
Welcome.
Nobody's waiting, right? Is he said, I won't BS you. I will tell you what's going on. You just have to let me find out what's going on, and then I'll tell you. He is from the Bill Parcells school. He's not going to give away the state secrets for sure, but I also think he is going to be a straight shooter with the media. Bill Parcells was a master at dealing with the media. I think most people thought that Parcells was antagonistic with the media. Not really. He had he had a really good relationship with the media, and I think Aaron Glenn will be like that. I don't think he's going to be a politician, and I don't think he's going to be out there, trying to sell himself and sell the team. Like, he is all ball. He is all business. He wants to focus on football. So I don't think you're going to see a ton of Aaron Glenn beyond what he is obligated to do as the head coach. But I do think when you hear from him, you can probably take what he's saying to the bank. Like, I don't think he's going to be us. And frankly, as a media member, that's all you can ask for.
Absolutely. Again, we're speaking with the amazing Judy Battista, NFL Network extraordinaire. They're on their training camp tour as Judy continues to travel the countryside. And Judy, look at this. Where are we at? Giants camp?
We're at Giants. It's very hazy today. It's like yesterday was a pretty nice day here in New York, but today is kind of muggy. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, right. Well, you're with the Giants. I know that's got to be, it's not the Jets, so you got to do the best that you can, obviously. There, Judy. When you do all of these interviews for NFL Network, NFL Plus, you have this notebook sitting on your lap. I'm curious for this Aaron Glenn conversation. What was the number one thing you had written in your notebook that you wanted to get out of that conversation?
Well, Justin Fields, right? Because we saw him on the field, so I wanted to know what that was about. I usually just jot like notes to remind myself of things I want to get to. I had written down the thing about what he had said about, taking away the pain of Jets fans. So there were things like that, but mostly just like things I saw in practice. Like, they ran that very cool open field tackling drill, which I hadn't.
What'd you make of that?
I loved it. It was great, and the fans loved it, and the players seemed to love it. It's like super high energy and intense and competitive, and like, as he said, like, I mean, this is what's coming, right? You've got to be able to tackle, and you got to be able to tackle in space, and they're putting the pads on Monday. So that was a good precursor of it. I mean, the defense, the one time that, with Garrett Wilson versus Sauce, and, obviously they're not tackling to the ground. It was mostly just sort of touching, right? And Sauce got him on the boundary, like got to Garrett Wilson before he could make the break and turn upfield. And so, Sauce won that rep, and like the defense went bananas, just like, like it was like, whoa, okay. And the crowd went crazy. So I loved the competitiveness of it. Like, that was really high intensity.
All right, let's get to a few of the players that you sat down with. Now, Armand Membu is a man of very few words, so credit to you,
He's
Judy.
Also a very big person.
Yeah, he appears that way.
Gigantic, like huge person. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, no. So when you have I don't know if I'm sure you were aware of that before you sat down with Armand, but like, how do you deal with a player like that when you know they're short and you're trying to sort of like get their guard down, engage a little bit? What's sort of the secret sauce there, Judy?
Well, first of all, I think you just ask them open-ended questions and how they're feeling. He's young. He's a rookie. Obviously he's a big-time college player, but he probably does not have as much media experience as you're going to need when you're in New York. It goes for Mason Taylor too. Like, those are two young guys who are almost certainly going to have to be big contributors this year, right? They just want them to be big contributors.
Sure.
So they're going to have to talk to the media, even if they don't do it, during the week. They're probably going to have to do it at some point in the locker room after games, good and bad. And so it's good to get them some reps. But I thought he was like, he's quiet. You're right. He's a guy of few words, but I think you just have to talk to them about what they're feeling. And then you sort of have to ask some follow-up questions. Like Mason Taylor said, like, Justin Fields was a good leader. And I was like, well, how? Like, what's he doing? So you just have to probe a little bit. But like, these are good days. Like, I always say this about training camp. Training camp is a great time to be around teams because nothing bad has happened yet in most cases. Like, hopefully you have not had a devastating injury. Nobody's lost any games yet. Most places are really optimistic and hopeful. And so this is a great time to be around guys, especially young guys, because it's all upside.
Right, that makes a lot of sense. Who's everyone that you got a chance to talk to? So we saw Aaron Glenn, you mentioned Mason Taylor, Armand Membu. Anybody else you got a chance to sit down and chat with?
No, you saw the three. Otherwise, I was just catching up with people who've worked at the desk for a very long time and what the feeling is like in the building. And, and it's all good. Like, the vibes are pretty good around the Jets right now. I think first of all, I think the players love Aaron Glenn, which is not a surprise since he's a former player. Even though I would not call him a player's coach. that has a connotation that I don't think Aaron Glenn would like, and I don't think is accurate. He's not a player's coach. But I think fans seemed really enthused yesterday at practice, and I think everybody in the building is hopeful. I think we would all love to see like a turnaround, and the Jets at least be steady and not have so much drama. The other thing I think everybody appreciates is that Aaron Glenn, when he was hired, he said, we want to move in silence. Like, I don't think he wants the circus to be in town. He does not want headlines. He just wants headlines about football. And I think everybody around there appreciates that.
I don't know if you've seen all the comments, but a lot of media noticed it. I know he doesn't like making headlines, but some of the ones that he's made is every time Aaron Glenn has talked about something, it's almost seemed like a shot at Robert Saleh. Several of the players, Breece Hall, Elijah Tucker, I'm trying to name them all off the top of my head, have all said like, oh boy, finally accountability's here. I haven't seen that in a while. Breece Hall's like, oh man, it's finally great to come into work. And then, yesterday, Aaron Glenn had the thing about Will McDonald. He said, oh, he's been a speed guy. We didn't see power. Is that a new part of his game? He's like, it's coaching, man. It's coaching. You didn't see it last year? I don't know. Coaching. So a lot of people went, shots? Have you perceived it the same way?
I don't think it's been intentional shots.
Okay.
Certainly not from the players. Look, again, when you have a regime change, everybody is always happy with whatever, right? If things were not going well with the previous regime, the new regime is always the savior. And so you go from, oh, yeah, things are so much better. You hear that no matter which direction you're going. You heard that when Eric Mangini became the head coach, when Herm was the head coach, back and forth. They love Aaron Glenn. There's no question about it. I think the players have really bought into a plan. And if you're a guy like Sauce Gardner, who has been there now for a few years, Garrett Wilson, let's face it, they've been through some rough years. I think everybody was stunned when Saleh was fired middle of the season last year. The players, I think that was like, whoa, they did not think that was going to happen. So I think just starting out with a new coach who's obviously very high energy, who's one of them, who's a Jet, I think that gives them all a good feeling. They love the competitiveness of it. Like Mason Taylor made a point of saying that, like, Aaron Glenn is a highly competitive guy himself, obviously, and they are drawing competitiveness from him.
Judy, what are expectations for the Jets? Because Jet fans have been hurt. We have one winning season the last 14 years. So some would say we're due. Yeah. But also Aaron Glenn, I say in one breath that they're not his battle scars to share, but apparently they are. But, so it's not his fault that they haven't been to the playoffs in 14 years. But Jet fans are hungry. So what should be fair expectations for this Jets team in 2025 with a first-year head coach?
I think they will be improved in a few ways. First of all, accountability and discipline. Like, it's no accident that the officials are at practice. Aaron Glenn made a point of saying, like, we were the most penalized team last year. That is not going to continue. So things like that. But I mean, so much depends on how Justin Fields is and how he performs. And the AFC is tough. I mean, there's no way around it. The AFC is tough. I mean, the Buffalo Bills are tough. You've got the defending league MVP in the division. I don't know how the Dolphins are going to be. I think the Dolphins might be in for a little bit of a reset season. I think the Patriots will be improved under Mike Vrabel. So the division is not easy either, but I do think the Jets will be improved. I would say this, I think everybody's going to have to hang in and be patient. And I say that fans, media, the people in the Jets building, players, like, they have a plan. But you got to let that plan, there's multiple steps here. So I think you've got to give it some time for that plan to go into effect and to bear fruit on the field. It's just Aaron Glenn said it yesterday. He's not going to put a win total out there, but like, he expects Justin Fields to do good things, like same sort of thing for the team.
Judy, a few more, and then we'll let you get back to all your NFL Network duties as you're squeezing us in here, and thank you so much for that. Are you a Justin Fields gal? Are you, because, third team in 3 years, it'd be very easy to be on the other side of the fence of saying, well, obviously this isn't going to work, but where do you stand?
I'm hopeful for him because I don't think he's had, I think this is the best circumstance that Justin Fields has been in his time. I don't think things were set up for success for him at the Bears, frankly. I don't think he was getting the best coaching, and at that point he didn't have the best players around him. the Steelers were are obviously a good team and a very good coaching situation, but it was always clear that they wanted Russell Wilson to be the starting quarterback from the first day that Russell Wilson got there. It was clear Mike Tomlin wanted Russell Wilson to be the quarterback. And so when Russ got hurt in training camp and couldn't go, then Justin Fields came in. But you always knew that he wanted Russell Wilson. And so I thought Justin Fields played pretty well in the first 6 games. They were playing conservative offense, but they were 4-2. He wasn't making mistakes. They wanted more explosion. They wanted more downfield plays, big plays, and so that's why they went to Russ. But I didn't think it was anything that Justin Fields did bad. So I am hopeful that now that he is in a situation where, first of all, he's got his college wide receiver, he's obviously Garrett Wilson is not just his college teammate, he's a stud. So he's got him, and he's also got a coaching staff that believes in him. Like, they believe that Justin Fields still has a very high ceiling and that he has gotten nowhere near reaching that ceiling. And so they think Justin Fields' best days are ahead of him. And I think that counts for a lot for a player, to know that a coaching staff is in his corner and is behind him. And, he doesn't have to look over his shoulder that, oh, there's Russell Wilson behind me. They're just waiting for the opening to put him in. And, and I don't discount how important it is that Garrett Wilson is there, because I'm not comparing them. I said this to Eric Allen of the Jets yesterday. I'm not comparing them to Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, but there is something to be said for pre-existing chemistry, and they have that. He already knows what Garrett Wilson likes. Garrett knows how he likes to throw the ball. That counts for something when you're in a new system with a new team, with new teammates, and I think that will benefit Justin Fields. It'll benefit Justin Fields to have a Mason Taylor, a really good receiving tight end. That's always a quarterback's best friend, to have a good tight end. So I'm hopeful that Justin Fields' best days are ahead of him.
All right, Judy, you wrote an article earlier this offseason. I'm going to butcher the phrasing of it, but essentially you were ranking the divisions based on how worried they should be basically about everyone else that's in there. And the Bills were basically number one. They had won the division by 5 games last year. Okay. Yeah. I don't know who else in the AFC East over here. And to be fair, that's earlier in the offseason, but is going to have any chance. Do the Jets have any chance, Judy? The only thing that's longer than the Jets playoff draft is the last time they've won the AFC East, which was back in 2002.
Well, I mean, I would never say nobody has a chance, because you have no idea how the season's going to play out, right? One injury and the whole season turns upside down for the entire league. But listen, I think the Jets, I don't think they're rebuilding, but they're still building. And I do think they have a ways to go. The Bills are a Super Bowl contender, right? I mean, the Bills are trying to get over the hump. Josh Allen is the league MVP. So you got to get past them. Now, again, the other 2 teams in the division, the Dolphins and the Patriots, I don't know. But the Patriots are starting Mike Vrabel, who has shown a history of success, even when he didn't have the best circumstances in Tennessee. And the Dolphins, I don't really know where the Dolphins are right now. But if they set them aside, it's a tough division. And again, the Bills won it going away. So I still think the Bills have a pretty good edge. But I do think the Jets are a team on the rise. And that's all you can hope for, right? Is that you're at least on the rise and not sort of treading water, and certainly not going through what they've gone through the last few years.
Yeah, that's for sure. Last thing here, Judy, is there anything else in your Jets notebook from yesterday that you want to get out there to the universe, to all of Jets social media and Jets YouTube land that's listening in right now? Anything on the Jets you want to say?
Just that the vibes are really good and really positive and lots of energy. And I would say, stick with them. I think Aaron Glenn put it yesterday, don't let go of the rope. Yeah, don't let go of the rope. There's a plan in place. He's got a plan. He knows what he wants to do. The players have totally bought in. And if you're a Jets fan, you probably need to buy in too.
That's it. We will hold the rope. Well, Judy, it's great to have you back on the show. It's great to have you on last summer. Thank you so much for joining us this time. We're enjoying the heck out of all your guys' training camp coverage on NFL Plus and NFL Network. So, Judy, thank you so much for getting us in here, even if it's at Giants camp. It's not as great as Jets camp, but you do the best you can.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, there she is, Judy Battista, baby, joining us here on the show. An absolute treasure, and a real, sweet surprise there, which was amazing. So, guys, there you go. Thank you so much, and a big shout out to Judy Battista from the NFL Network for joining us here on the program. All right, folks, appreciate it, and that will be it. No phone calls. We'll see you next time. Take